Africa is home to some of the world's richest natural resources. Sitting on a treasure trove of untapped potential, Africa has over 30% of the world's mineral reserves. No wonder Africa has been seen as the future of global supply chains.
But it's not just about the minerals. Africa's fertile land makes it the perfect place to cultivate a variety of crops, everything from cocoa, coffee and tea to cassava, maize and legumes. It's a market that feeds billions and offers huge growth potential for investors looking at the future of food security and agribusiness. By the way, my name is Hawa and I represent the western part of Africa.
And that's just the start. Africa's energy sector is rapidly evolving with abundant natural resources like solar, wind, and hydropower. The continent is positioned to become a global leader in renewable energy. Countries like South Africa, Egypt, and Kenya are already making significant strides towards energy independence and sustainability.
Don't even get me started about what makes Africans stand out. Of course, it is people, the young, dynamic, and entrepreneurial spirit that is fueling the rise of technology and innovation. We are seeing incredible growth in sectors like fintech, e-commerce, and mobile technology. The continent's digital transformation is creating new opportunities for businesses and investors, and the pace is only accelerating.
Discussing trends, challenges, and opportunities available in Africa is what we discuss on Invest Africa Podcast.
Invest Africa Podcast.
You are Africans. We are Africans. Louder. We are Africans. Louder. We are Africans. Come on, Africans. Yeah. We are Africans. I can hear you. We are Africans. Louder. We are Africans. Come on, Africans.
So whether you are a seasoned investor or someone looking to explore the emerging markets, the Invest Africa podcast is here to help you navigate this exciting landscape. Join us as we take you on a journey through Africa's abundant resources, thriving industries, and the game-changing investments that are shaping the future of the continent.
The Invest Africa Podcast, shaping Africa's investment landscape. Hi guys, welcome to Invest Africa Group Podcast. Here we dive deep into economic landscape, opportunities and growth sector. I'm your host, Mubarak Abimbola. And of course, I don't do this alone. I have the incredible, delectable Hawa David.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode. I'm Hawa. It's good to be here again. So how are you doing today, Mubarak?
I'm very fine, thank you. I mean, it's been a couple of engaging and a couple of moments trying to make sure that our listeners are filled with opportunities and we get to give them the latest update. So on our last episode, we discussed Africa's investment landscape in 2024, key trends and opportunities. We also talked about prime sector that did so well in 2024. We mentioned the challenges being experienced in this sector and we profiled solution, of course. So just in case you missed the last episode or you probably lost track of the conversation last week, all you need to do is feel free to check it out on every platform available, and you can be rest assured that it was a thoughtful conversation, very engaging, and something you don't want to miss.
It was actually a very interesting episode. Like Mubarak said, you can always catch up on that episode. So today we are going to be diving into Africa's tech era. We are looking at technology and innovation in Africa and how this is a catalyst for economic growth. And we'll basically be highlighting advancements in fintech, agri-tech, health tech, and health tech, as driving economic growth. We'll explore opportunities for investors in Africa's expanding digital economy. So, Mubarak, what do you have to say about innovation and technology?
A lot of people till now do not know that Africa has a long history of technological development, including designing some of the world's oldest stone tools and many early inventions. Some of the earliest African inventions include hand axe, fishing hooks, bows and arrows. In fact, many of these inventions predate the use of written language by tens of thousands of years. Ancient Africans made many advances in metallurgy, into making steam engine. However, Nana, the history of science and technology in Africa has relatively received little attention compared to other regions of the world, despite notable African development in mathematics, in architecture, and other fields. But you can't blame the West, though. Since we refuse to tell our stories ourselves, the narratives change. But today we'll talk about Africa's technological development. But this time, it's not just about the Asian technology, because the world has evolved. We are going to explore a topic that is shaping the future of the continent. Yes, technology and innovation in Africa, catalyst for economic growth.
Okay, I like that you started from a standpoint of Asian technical. A lot of people don't know that technology in Africa can be dated way back to the ancient times. Did you know that ancient Egyptians excelled in mathematics, geometry, and astronomy? They actually devised a 365-day calendar and advanced methods to calculate areas and volumes and the likes. You also mentioned Stone Age tools like axe and the likes. The first evidence of technological innovation in Africa dates back to about 2.5 million years.
2.5 million years. Wow. Really? I mean, that's huge. I mean, 2.5 million years. Like, I'm trying to imagine what was happening in the world as a then.
Okay, so that is it, right? The fact that slavery and colonialism came between the 15th and 19th centuries, right? Africa's technological development kind of stagnated. So remember the stories of slavery? They say, the whites came, they brought things like mirrors and spoons and coffee, and our leaders then were kind of flabbergasted by the other things. That is like something they kind of lied to us.
I mean, that's meat, fables, and those are histories and tales they told us when we were so young, and we told those stories a couple of times. And one thing about telling stories and shaping narrative is the fact that the more you say them, the more it becomes the truth. But unfortunately, all these things are not true, because Africa's technology dated way back. I mean, first evidence of technological advancement can be traced back to Africa. So where did we get it all wrong, and what's the status quo of Africa's technological landscape? These and many more we'll discuss on the episode today. So before we dive into specific sectors, let's first understand where Africa's technology landscape stands today. I mean, across the continent, digital transformation is gaining momentum, and Africa is increasingly being recognized as a hotspot for innovation. But the question is, what exactly does the tech ecosystem look like in Africa, Nana?
Okay, so basically, when we talk about tech ecosystem, we are referring to the interconnectedness of networks that actually drive technology in Africa. We're looking at the individuals, organizations, infrastructures, and policies that help shape the technology space in Africa. And the ecosystem includes things like startups, tech hubs, government initiatives, even the kind of investors that are coming to Africa. Look at our educational system, multinational corporations. All of this work together to create solutions that are tailored to Africa's unique. And I believe that is basically what the ecosystem looks like in Nigeria, in Africa.
Right, and talking about government organizations, it's not just about the Silicon Savannah in Kenya or the CC Tech Hubs in Lagos. I mean, Africa is home to over 1.4 billion people, and with mobile penetration rapidly growing, internet access expanding, and a young tech-savvy population, the opportunities immense in Africa. Countries like Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana, they are leading the way in terms of tech startup ecosystem, but there is incredible innovation happening in every nook and cranny of the continent. I mean, from e-commerce to mobile money solutions, we are seeing rapid growth in startup, tackling Africa's unique challenges. And this is one thing I love about the startup coming up on board in Africa. I mean, they're focused on Africa's unique challenges. I mean, gone are those days when we used to have where every tech startup are focused on Uber for this, Uber for food, Uber for home, Uber for cars. I mean, but now we are now seeing startup rising up to tackle Africa's unique challenges. I mean, these are beautiful things. And with the rise of mobile solutions, the tech ecosystem is becoming more inclusive, allowing even rural population to benefit. So let's dive into some of the exciting areas that we are exploring the change in Africa.
But before we do that, I would like to note that there is actually a very significant growth driver for Africa's tech ecosystem, and that is the youthful population. With a median age of 19, Africa's youthful and tech-savvy population is the one that is actually fueling innovation. I mean, over 495 million people in Africa use mobile internet, which actually drives the digital adoption and entrepreneurship. Right? Academic institutions in Africa also look at the proliferation. It also contributes to the developing tech talent, and research. Initiatives like the African Institute for Mathematical Science that focuses on advancing learning in tech and sciences, things like that. Look at the global giants like Google, Microsoft, Meta, and the amount of investment in Africa they are making through programs, accelerator initiatives and the like. So I think that we are seeing a big change in Africa, and the youthfulness of our population is actually driving it. Okay, let's dive into the specific sectors now, and let's talk about the fintech revolution in Africa. So Africa's fintech sector is actually booming, right? And this is transforming the way people bank, invest, and transact. Back, do you know that Africa's fintech market is projected to reach $3 billion by 2025, and this is actually growing at 20% annual increase. And the countries leading this charge includes Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, and Ghana, like you mentioned earlier.
I mean, mobile money companies like M-Pesa in Kenya, they've been really doing a great job. And also, Africa's fintech sector has grown beyond just providing mobile money solution. They are changing the way Africa access and manage their money, most especially with the services of peer-to-peer transfers people now do, which has made it easier for Africans living in diaspora to transfer money and instant reflection to banks in Africa. I mean, that's a game changer. And also, fintech is not only providing solution for underserved population, but they're also bridging the gap in traditional banking this time around. Compared to what it used to be back in those days, you would realize that mobile money operators and tech startups now, did you notice that a lot of people have transitioned from the traditional banks to mobile banks these days, because of the fact that all these traditional banks do not really place more priority on the convenience of their customers. I mean, nobody wants to go back to the bank to queue and sit down for long hours when you can always solve your problems just by sending a message, a mail, or calling the customer care, and you can get everything resolved in the twinkle of an eye. So I like the fact that the fintech sector has been able to revolutionize and change the game for the banking sectors, and doing peer-to-peer transfer, savings, loans, and even insurance. This is really a great growth for the fintech sector.
Yes, I'm talking about insurance. What tech platforms like Piggyvest, Cowrywise, and the others, they've actually they've done a lot of work, right, offering investment opportunities for Africans and actually people living in the diaspora, and it has actually helped in the way that people access investment opportunities these days, and it's looking good for Africa. Africa's fintech sector is actually unlocking financial inclusion for a lot of people, and this is actually driving economic growth.
Fintech is also revolutionizing access to credit with companies like Flutterwaves and Paystack, making it easier for businesses to accept payments online. In fact, the fintech sector in Nigeria alone has attracted over $1 billion in funding in recent years. And even looking at the data, you realize that 40% of tech startups in Nigeria are basically fintech. This is according to a data from Statista. Over 40% of tech startups in Nigeria are focused on fintech. And looking at some of the data according to World Bank, nearly 66% of sub-Saharan Africans lack access to formal financial service. But fintech is already closing that gap, offering mobile money, micro loans, and insurance. And also, they are providing services to underserved population. In fact, for investors, fintech offers scalable solutions that not only provide high return, but also support financial inclusion, because as the African middle class grows and internet access improves, fintech is poised for continuous growth. I mean, despite the fact that we already have enough, it feels like if there's another opportunity, if there's any other startup in the fintech sector, they will still revolutionize the way banking is done in Africa. They will revolutionize the way people make payments. They will revolutionize so many things in the fintech space of Africa.
Yeah. Okay. So another thing to look at is online lending, and how much it has actually saved a lot of youths in Africa. There are a lot of startups now, a lot of companies that helps both individuals and small and medium enterprises to gain access to loans, which are actually quite easy and accessible. I have actually had first-hand experiences of how these online loans have helped a lot of individuals, both close people and those that I see online. And you'd see, actually, do you know that 75% of African adults lack access to formal credit? And these online loaning apps have actually helped to close that gap.
75%?
Yes, 75%. I mean, can you go to the bank to get a loan? I can't access a loan at the bank now.
Maybe because your credit is not solid enough, but I know the fact that a lot of businesses access loans, but the ease of accessing the loan is a subject of discussion on its own. But 75% lack access to loan. That's really solid information, and it brings the question: what has the traditional bank been doing all this while that they didn't see this as a problem? And I mean, that's a great solution tech startups are trying to solve. I mean, if we can resolve that, a lot of people, because you realize that the money, the credit rate in Africa is quite low, so a lot of people need to survive on credit. It's not even only in Africa. Credit has always been a way of life all over the world, but credit in Africa is another thing that we've not been able to hack. And I believe with the growth in fintech sector, we can really do better.
Okay, that leads me to another interesting sector, and that's agri-tech in Africa. Technology is actually also transforming the way we farm. Also, it has actually helped in connecting farmers to markets and improve food security generally. Africa's agri-tech business or market actually projected to reach $1.5 billion by 2025, also at a growing rate of 20% annual. And the main drivers of agri-tech in Africa includes precision agriculture, where to farm, the right soil, the right moisture and the likes, so we don't have to be doing a lot of trial and error anymore. Also, farm management softwares has helped. So there's this story my uncle was telling me, right? There's a man that decided to have a farm in Africa, in Nigeria precisely, and they had acres of land. He was planting cocoa and cucumber and the like. So basically he's not in Nigeria now, so he had farm assistants on the farm, and they were actually ruining his business. So this guy had a kind of monitoring system on his mobile phone while he was in the UK. He was able to see where they were harvesting his crops even before the main harvest time. But they were harvesting his crops and selling it. He actually caught them red-handed. He did not even say anything to them. He went straight to court, invited them to court. They were lying, blah blah blah, and he just showed them their past on full screen, and it's crazy. So things like that are the things that have actually helped in investment. Farm management softwares, there's water management softwares and the like. Mubarak, what do you think about agri-tech in Africa generally?
Well, agriculture has always been the backbone of many African economies, employing over 60% of the continent's workforce. But challenges like inefficient supply chains, climate change, and access to markets have held the sectors back. I mean, technology in the growth of Africa, and technology in agriculture as startup, I've been helping to tackle some of these challenges with innovations like AI to improve crop yields, manage water resources, and reduce post-harvest losses. However, something that really struck my attention while I was reading much about agri-tech is the fact that Africa was able to raise over $1.3 billion in 2022, with Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria leading the way. I mean, Kenya various agri companies in Kenya are now using mobile technology to link farmers directly to market, improving logistics and reducing food waste. And also, I mentioned the fact that AI has also been helping farmers in playing a huge role. Farmers now use AI-powered platforms to predict crop yields and optimize planting cycle based on weather pattern. I mean, this not only boosts productivity but also help farmers make data-driven decisions. I mean, we have gotten to the point where data is important. You just need to know what data you need to work with your data. Data help you figure out. And with the advancement of technology, the only challenge is the fact that many farmers in this part of the world are so recalcitrant to adoption of technology. But I mean, technology in agriculture has really paved way to reduce some of the losses we used to have in the past. Ability to when you should plant, when you should till the land, and all these subsistence way of doing things have been eradicated. And I feel like it's really a growth that particular. So I think a lot of things still can be done in the agri-tech sector. And higher the growth in that sector, the bigger the food security, or what would I call it? The higher the growth in that sector, the level of assurance you can have about food security. I mean, agri-tech is not only about food; it's also about opportunities. I mean, all the rural populations, it's an opportunity for people living in the rural areas. It's an opportunity for people whose business are in that sector. I mean, transportation, the transporters in that sector, they get to be fed, they get to make money from there. The farm workers, and a lot of massive opportunities in agriculture. So agri-tech is really a large landscape we should really explore.
Speaking about opportunities, do you know that if you own a drone now in Africa, you could actually leverage on it? Drone technology is actually going far, especially helping in livestock monitoring and precision farming. So if you have a drone now, you could actually aid a farmer. You don't have to still follow the traditional way of having livestock farmers going around with your livestock. You can actually make use of drones the world's first drone delivery system for agricultural supplies actually started in Rwanda, and since 2016 it has actually delivered over 200,000 units of agricultural supplies, and that is actually interesting. I'm just trying to add to that opportunity aspect of agri-tech in Africa.
I know that worthy to be mentioned fact about the growth in agri-tech is the fact that there is now increased investment. I mean, one of the surest way to get investment in Nigeria, for a fact, is you being a farmer. I mean, there's so many boards, so many groups, so many companies that would relatively give you loan to farm compared to you starting any other business. I mean, venture capital and private equity firms are now investing heavily in Africa's agri startup. In 2021, agri-tech attracted a significant share of the continent's total tech investment, with more funds expected to flow into the sector in the coming years. Also, the younger population, I also need to talk about the fact that so many young Africans now are now so heavily involved in farming. I mean, younger population in Africa is increasingly engaging in agriculture ventures, with many seeing agriculture as a viable career choice due to technology, ability to enhance productivity and efficiency. Also, I think I should also mention the fact that, I mean, there has been improved infrastructure. We are not there yet, but we can still do better. I mean, I came across a video on the internet about a farm in America, and I was wowed. You need to see the harvesting in that farm, and I was hoping maybe Africa would get to that point one day. There has been growth there has been an improvement in the infrastructure, but we've not gotten to that point where we can say that we've really commercialized our agriculture compared to so many other countries. Several governments are investing in infrastructure such as rural roads, electricity, internet access, which are crucial to supporting agri-tech initiatives. You now realize that many of the governors in Nigeria, they're already coming up with their 2025 budget. You realize that a hunch and a bulk amount of many of these budget proposals are being dedicated to agriculture because everyone wants to ensure food security in their state. And it's no more a news that if you don't farm, you can't eat. No manna is coming anywhere to the world again. At least God did not promise us manna again the second time. But I mean, if we do not take agriculture seriously in Africa, we would have to pay for it. So a lot of government agencies are also keying into agricultural development and making sure that we all can, we can improve our agricultural sector. But the challenges also abound. While there are so many opportunities in agri-tech, the challenges abound. Now, challenges facing agriculture and the agri-tech sector in Africa. I mean, access to capital has always been a thing for many sectors, whether we like it or not. Investment is growing. Many small and medium-sized agri-tech companies are struggling to access funds, but there are enough funding that a lot of people are not really tapping from. While access to capital has been a problem, I think access to information has been the biggest problem of many farmers. So many people do not know that we have Bank of Agric that offers loan without collateral to farmers. CBN did one for farmers last year. Federal government keeps giving loans to farmers, providing seedlings and providing fertilizer for farmers. State government are also not taking chances. They are also providing access to capital, but to access to information is the challenges we have in this particular sector. So many of our farmers are still practicing subsistence farming. They do not know that the world has moved away from just tilling the land. Well, the world have moved to mechanized farming. So the information has been the problem. Another thing is the limited digital literacy. Despite the growth of mobile phone usage, many farmers, especially in the remote areas, lack digital literacy needed to use agri-tech tools effectively. This limits the widespread adoption of new technology.
Yes, I think that can be attributed to the resistance to change from these individuals. Traditional farming practices are kind of deeply ingrained in these rural farmers, like you said, and many farmers are actually skeptical about adopting technologies. So even if those technologies are available, I feel like resistance to change is actually a driving factor why some of these have not been adopted yet. Okay, another challenge that agri-tech faces in Africa is poor infrastructure, because farming is more prominent in the rural areas, right? That's where most of our food production comes from. And ultimately many of these rural areas lack physical infrastructure that actually aid success of agriculture in Africa. We see bad roads, poor storage facility, unreliable electricity, and the likes. Like you mentioned earlier, financial constraints. Even though there are systems and structures in place to assist farmers financially, it is still not enough. Farmers still often lack financial resources to invest in technology, especially to invest in modern technologies. And actually, Africa lost $4 billion annually due to post-harvest losses, and this is as a result of inadequate storage and logistics and the like. So imagine losing $4 billion annually from one sector. I mean, that is a huge loss. So I see these challenges as opportunities for us to actually invest. If we have been able to identify problems, right, the next thing is to be able to think of a solution. So these challenges are opportunities. If you look at
another challenge you forgot to mention is the climate change. I mean, well, everybody has been talking about climate change. Climate change has been like the top mind campaign for various organizations, United Nations, the World Bank, the AFDB. I mean, so many. Climate change has been like the top mind conversation everywhere, and Africa is highly vulnerable to climate change, which affects crop yields, water availability, and overall agricultural productivity. In fact, there's a particular Africa country at the moment. There's a particular country in Africa that is currently experiencing famine. I mean, they do not have water access, and having a productive farming in such country would be difficult. Agritech solutions need to adapt to these environmental challenges. We need to figure out a way to solve many of these agricultural climatic problems. I mean, solving a climatic problem is an opportunity on its own where investors can really put in their money. Although we are blessed in some part of in the western part of Africa with a stable climate, and for those who are planning to invest in agriculture, West Africa looks like a perfect choice for investors because of this of their stability in climate, and also policy and regulation. The agritech ecosystem in Africa also often faces regulatory uncertainty. I mean, regulation has always been a big headache in any sector in Africa. So many people want to be so many bureaucratic process that a lot of people have to to pass through just for them to be able to get things done in Africa. I feel like that alone can also be resolved if we have startups that can really focus on reducing the bureaucracy in policy and regulation for agriculture.
Okay. In addition to climate change solutions for agriculture in Africa, it is actually beneficial to invest in climate resilient seeds. So this is actually another investment opportunity. There are a lot of seedlings and crops that could stand the test of climate change basically, and investing in such seedlings or such crops actually yield better results. And talking about resistance to change, that it is also another opportunity for investment in education and training for local farmers, right? If we increase knowledge of people, of course they'll be able to use the technology that's right. Also, there's something that is actually very, very key when we are thinking of solutions, especially when it comes to adoption in the rural. We have to be able to bring, should we say, location or people-specific solutions. So don't say because this technology has worked in, let's say, Ghana, I think because it's also an African country, they will probably be having same kind of issues and the solution will work in Nigeria or Kenya. Of course, it's a good idea, but when bringing solutions to people, especially the rural, best to actually make them own those solutions. So do like a feasibility study, like a needs assessment of what the problem is and the kind of solutions that gives.
Our before we move to the next sector, I'm pumped up about the Invest Africa Group dinner happening on the 11th of December 2024. The Invest Africa Group is bringing together in one single room investors in Africa, just for people to to talk about investment landscape in Africa, and to ensure to incorporate people's goal, to incorporate the goal of investing in Africa in the minds of so many people. And the dinner is strictly exclusive, but for you to get your own access to the dinner on this particular channel, we'll put on details.
I'm actually very excited for Invest Africa dinner. It isn't just any dinner. It's dinner where ideas spark, connections are made, right, and investment opportunities are born. The purpose of this dinner is actually to celebrate transformative growth we've seen in Africa's investment landscape, and to also highlight key achievements as well as map out the road ahead for 2025 and beyond. So whether you're a seasoned investor, a startup founder, or someone that is just passionate about Africa's economic potential, then this event is for you. So basically how to attend, so you just have to secure your spot at the table, right? Tickets are available on Eventbrite. All you have to do is go to eventbrite.com and search for Invest Africa Group Head of Year Investment Dinner, and follow the prompts to buy tickets. Seats are limited, so don't wait too long. Okay, so if you are listening and you think so this sounds like my kind of event, you're absolutely right. December 11th is going to be the night we'll all be looking back on now. So that leads us to another sector, another interesting sector. and that is EdTech in Africa. Okay, moving on. Education technology is transforming how millions of Africans access learning, and it has been breaking barriers and open doors of opportunity. Whether you're an educator or a tech enthusiast or simply curious, about the future of education, I think this particular sector is for you. So did you know that more than 50% of the world's population under the age of 25 in Africa? That's over 600 million people living in Africa. With a generation this big, investing in education is not just important, crucial. Let's look at the big picture now. Africa faces significant educational challenges. According to UNESCO, over 96 million children in sub-Saharan Africa are out of school, and many other faces challenges such as overcrowded classrooms, unqualified teachers, lack of resources, and the like. But EdTech is actually changing this tone, Barak.
Well, you're right. EdTech is addressing gaps in traditional educational system by providing access to the quality learning material, online courses, and digital classrooms. Now, we now have platforms like Andela that are upskilling young Africans for tech jobs, while we also have Coursera, we have Udemy, we also have YouTube, which is like a free channel for everyone to learn anything. So we also have platforms like ULessons in Nigeria, bringing affordable digital education to the masses. So EdTech is like bridging the gap between the traditional educational system. But the staggering figure of the number of children out of school is really alarming. In fact, out of the over 96 million children out of school in the whole sub-Saharan Africa, over 20 million of them reside in Nigeria alone, and this is what makes it scary, most especially in the northern part of the country. I feel like with the gap we are having, with the alarming rate of people dropping out of school due to insecurity, due to lack of enthusiasm, lack of infrastructure, and so many other social conditions that have made schooling not fun for so many people, EdTech looks like a particular sector that is booming with investment. I mean, knowing fully well that every year over 10 million youth enters the workforce, and that's like an urgent need for an educational innovation in Africa. Sometimes ago, here in Nigeria, a former president of Nigeria, called the Nigerian youth lazy. I mean, it's probably because of the fact that a data came out and said many Nigerian youth are unemployable, or they do not meet the employment standard of the international standard. And you would realize that it is because of the educational gap we all have, and with the level of brain, the level of smartness and people we have in Africa, you realize that Africa is so blessed. But unfortunately, we have so many factors that are limiting and inhibiting the growth of education in Nigeria, in Africa, and more reason why you're seeing so many people leaving the shores of Africa to seek better education outside the continent. But the impact of EdTech is huge. According to a report by PricewaterhouseCoopers, Africa's online education market is expected to reach about $1.8 billion in 2025. I mean, the growth of mobile learning platforms is helping to break down geopolitical and socioeconomic barriers to education. Oftentimes now you now see people from the comfort of their home. You can teach people, you can teach languages, you can teach mathematics, you can teach chemistry from the comfort of your home. In fact, Africans are now teaching people in the diaspora different courses. That is to tell you that education has gone beyond the normal traditional method we use now. The technology innovation in education has helped grow education in Africa. And it's not just about the training and every other thing. I mean, the upskilling too. The upskilling in the education sector through EdTech has also helped increase the revenue in Africa as well. I mean, you need to see the numbers Andela puts up every year. You need to see the number of people that register for ALX. You need to see the number of people that register for Microsoft trainings every single year. Google, you mention it. You would realize that edtech is also an emerging sector that a lot of people can invest in, create platforms where people can learn. I got to learn French through Duolingo, and same goes for so many other people. I mean, using various mobile educational resources to learn so many things, and that's like the normal way of life. What do you think?
Okay, yes, but edtech has actually impact. It has brought about like a lot of Africans, both from and that's looking at access in rural areas. Actually, there are platforms that provide essay-based courses. So those that don't even have internet access can actually learn. And right now, over 5 million students have access to such platforms. Also, it has also helped both learners and teachers that we have now. Teachers can learn courses virtually, there are remote workshops, there are boot camps. Also, all tech has actually helped a lot reach places that have taught us achieve heights that learning as simple as Excel or Power BI, international jobs, and you'll be learning foreign currencies. And in fact, you'll be earning huge amounts to actually transform your life. So we've actually seen impact first and of course, no doubt their Africa, edtech actually Africa, and number one, divide. Despite progress, rural areas and marginalized and actually some setback in access opportunity. Also, fact that so many Africa and only find few of these platforms that actually localize their hard for. Let us look at this as have options on. If you are looking at investing in edtech in Africa, have all learners. I think they accept that.
Yeah, you made mention of internet access, and that's like a major challenge for so many. In fact, not only people in the rural areas. Internet is expensive. Even the ones you are able to afford. The availability sometimes can be annoying. It's really slow, and I feel like that's a major challenge to education technology. Also, how many people can afford smartphones? The affordability. While edtech solutions can make education more accessible, the limitation of affordability. In many parts of Africa, there are challenges of devices, smartphones, laptop, data cost, which can limit access to online learning platform. Also, another thing you made mention that I love so much is the digital literacy gap. The growing mobile penetration, but there's still a significant vacuum in the digital literacy gap. So many people do not have access to many of these devices that would help that would help reduce the gap in literacy. Many teachers and students lack the necessary skills. In fact, I know in some part of Nigeria where students up until when they get to the city, that's when they get to see computer for the first time. If you ask so many people in who are of African descent, that at what age did they get to touch a computer, you'd realize that a lot of people did not touch computer until they got into secondary school. In fact, some did not own a computer until they left uni. And these are basic things people have access to outside the shores of the continent that help the sector of education. And like I said earlier, regulation and policy has always been a thing in Africa. So regulation and policy changes also affect the Africa sector of education. Now, what are the opportunities that abound in edtech? You have the mobile-based learning solution. For those that are planning to invest in the edtech sector, mobile learning offers a unique opportunity to reach millions of students who may not have access to traditional educational resources. So, whether you're planning to invest in the education sector in Africa, in the edtech sector, you might be looking at profiling or providing a mobile-based learning solution, whether you want it to be language, whether you want it to be on a course, you want it to be on how to grow, how to invest. I mean, using a mobile-based learning solution would also be a way forward. Also, online tutoring and mentoring. I made mention of that earlier. In fact, I know someone that is earning by just tutoring online, and she's earning huge from that platform alone. She's teaching Chinese how to speak English just because she's an African, and she teaches Chinese how to speak English, and she's earning big. So online tutoring and mentoring, that's another platform you might want to also explore for opportunity. Also, gamification. Yes, I remember that many of us that got to start using computer at the early stage were encounter kids. Not even encounter kids. We learn our typing skills with this particular Mavis Beacon. Yes, Mavis Beacon. We were able to learn how to type through Mavis Beacon. So gamification is another platform you might want to explore in investing. You might want to design a gaming platform where people can learn something through that particular method. I mean, it's the opportunities in that sector is enormous, and they abound a lot. Also, e-libraries and open education resources. I mean, that cannot be overstated. So many we now have so many platforms on the internet where you can always get materials of ages. So that's another opportunity for you to also explore for that.
Okay, in addition to what you've said, Barak, also investing in expanding broadband and mobile network infrastructure will also go a long way. Programs like Google's Project Tower and Starlink's, they're already working to improve connectivity in undeserved regions, and we've seen that they are actually working. In line with that, like I said earlier, if we have high number of offline learning solutions, it will also help in the aspect of limited internet access. Also looking at the issue of lack of affordable devices, collaborating with device manufacturers to provide affordable laptops. I was speaking to a friend recently. I told her to reach out to organizations, manufacturers, basically, the big guys, and actually propose to them to have corporate social responsibilities to provide tech solutions to undeserved communities as their CSRs, and this could actually help. These people have the resources already, and they could help to provide affordable laptops, smartphones to students. There are initiatives that could be raised from these sectors. Also, you mentioned something about
moving to health tech. I mean, this sector is one that I'm so pumped to talk about because of the fact that the biggest money I was able to make in 2023 was from this sector, and that's because of the opportunity that abound in that sector, and that is the health tech sector. I mean, technology has helped the health sector in Africa a lot, and that sector is an emerging and rapidly growing sector. Leveraging technology to address the continent's pressing health challenges, Africa faces a unique set of health issues such as infectious diseases, limited access to healthcare, and a growing burden of non-communicable disease. But one thing I noticed is the fact that growing of health tech in Africa, when I was given the statistics for fintech, based on Statista, apart from fintech, health tech has the second largest investment funding in Africa. I mean, so many investments and investors pumping money into the health tech, with so many startups attracting funding to develop innovative healthcare solutions. In recent years, venture capitals and international investors have taken greater interest in Africa's health technology market, resulting in steady increase in funding and health-related startup and innovation. Another thing we've been able to do in the health sector is telemedicine, and this is what I meant by made the biggest money of 2023 in the telemedicine sector. I mean, telemedicine is now you from the comfort of your home. You can talk to a doctor, explain your symptoms, and make sure that you are getting a lot of things. Explain how you're feeling and how you want your symptoms, and the doctor can easily provide a solution. And in fact, you don't necessarily have to talk to a doctor. You can just use your app and explain, and there can be diagnosis. And when I got the job offer for telemedicine sometimes last year, I was really wowed at how at the growth in that particular sector. Not to mention the fact that AI and data analytics have also improved the health sector, electronic health record. I mean, we still have some facilities in Nigeria, in Africa, where they still use paper file to check through your data record, and once it is missing, that's a problem. So we're already seeing growth in that particular sector as well.
Actually, I would like to dwell on the issue here so that we can actually identify the problems and be able to think of it. Africa actually faces daunting healthcare challenges. Right now, there are some countries in Africa that has a doctor to patient of 1:5,000 compared to the WHO recommendation of 1:600. Like, the gap is alarming. We are talking about diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS that still claims lives of millions of Africans annually, and this is adding to this can be attributed to poor infrastructure, lack of supply chain, and basically the lack of skilled professionals. So this is actually clear why innovation is essential in the health sector. Did you know that nearly 60% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa lives more than 5 kilometers from the nearest healthcare facility to them? So that's why accessibility is a huge issue, and telemedicine is actually bridging the gap, like you said. I have encountered a mobile psychologist, and actually using this service worked more for me than going to see a psychologist. It just felt like, okay, nothing can happen to me. I'm actually at home. I don't have to be sitting in front of a therapist now and start telling the person all my life. Talking over the phone kind of gave me some level of security, and I felt safe to say anything. In fact, it was as if, this person will not even be able to tell who I am. I'm like a mystery person a mystery patient, and it just helped me to achieve my health needs at that time. So we are not just looking at technology now, we are looking at the impact that it is making.
I mean, I like the data of the doctor to patient ratio. I mean, it's quite sad that so many African countries we're experiencing brain drain in the health sector. So many people want to leave the shores of Africa just to explore better opportunities and to make more money. And it's so sad that so many hospitals, in fact, this is more peculiar to Nigeria at the moment. We have teaching hospitals not having electricity supply, and how to these are one of the challenges we face in the health sector, because it is so hard to have a good health facility. I mean, that's not the proper thing I want to say. It's so hard to have a proper health service when there's lack of electricity, when we are lacking water, we are lacking basic amenities in the health facility. I mean, these are one of the challenges in the of the health tech. Also, limited health workforce and the ability to ease into technology. So many people are finding it difficult to transition between carrying papers and just having a doctor check up your entire medical record by the system. In fact, a lot of people fear that health tech would take jobs away from them, and that is the fear of major sectors. So many people have the fear that with the invention of with the evolution of AI, with the evolution of technology, their jobs are not safe. But like we keep saying every single time, those that will be away from, those that will lose their job are those that do not ease into technology. So the fear of losing their job, the job security is also a basic challenge for people in the health sector, for us to have a wider and a reputable health technology in Africa. Also, cultural and language barrier. I mean, Africa is a highly diverse continent with many different language and cultural context. Health solution often face challenges in being culturally appropriate and linguistically accessible. For you to have a mobile app that can solve the problem of someone that speaks Swahili, you have to design it to speak Swahili. I mean, do you know the number of languages we speak in Africa? In fact, do you know the number of languages we speak in Nigeria alone, except for our lingua franca? I mean, these are one of the challenges we are facing in that particular sector. But opportunities abound, like we will always tell you. Whenever we mention the challenges, we'll also talk about the opportunities. Telemedicine and remote health care service is like the new oil now. The opportunity to expand telemedicine and remote consultations across Africa is enormous. All thanks to COVID-19. Well, COVID-19 might have been a bad thing, but in another way, it has exposed so many Africans to remote working. So remote healthcare service is now a thing in Africa too. So the opportunity to expand and have remote consultation across Africa is enormous. Given the shortage of healthcare providers in many regions, health tech solution facilitate consultation, diagnosis, and follow-ups through mobile phones or computer can also help bridge the gap. I mean, take for example what IAG gave reference. Now, I'm talking to a psychologist without visiting one. To book a therapist or to book a psychologist, you have to wait for days. But needing to talk to someone and having access to talk to a professional doctor or a professional consultant in that field immediately, I mean, that's a leap of success. Also, mobile health solution. We now have mobile health services that are rapidly growing segment of health tech in Africa. Apps that provide health information, track health data, remind patients to take their medications, or offer mental support. And these opportunities are scalable and cost effective and provide solutions to improving healthcare delivery.
To quickly answer your question, we have over 3,000 languages in Africa being spoken, and for Nigeria, there are over 525 languages in Nigeria. Yes, speaking about health tech solutions, right? They are actually cheaper than visiting health facilities. I know this might be hard to be, but health tech services, telemedicine services are actually cheaper than visiting the hospital. In addition, the health tech market in Africa is projected to grow significantly. The World Bank is estimating it to about $259 billion by 2030, and key areas actually address diverse health issues. We've seen telemedicine help in areas like maternal health, chronic disease management, and mental health, like you mentioned earlier. Well, despite this, the fact that these services are actually cheaper and more accessible, there are still challenges in its access, like we said. And this is another opportunity for solutions to come up. Solutions that really don't have to do with the usage of internet would actually go a long way now. Also, another interesting thing about health tech to me is the fact that we are now able to get more health related data that are actually usable. Health data is something, for those of us that are into research, is something that has actually been a challenge to get over the years. But having health tech now generating momentum, it's actually a good one for Africa. Now, talking about the usage of these solutions, I feel like a lot of, I don't want to say millennials now, but a lot of people are actually technophobic, right? And that is where the challenges of usage of these health tech solutions come in. People are scared to make technological mistakes, if that is a thing. So they kind of find it hard to make use of these services. I remember there's this chatbot that you could use in accessing sexual and reproductive health services that was being created by one non-governmental organization I was trying to volunteer with. And we had issues with people using this chatbot because they felt like the chatbot would actually release their information to other people.
Well, for investors, healthcare is a high impact area with potential. I mean, it's not only a sector where you can generate returns, but it's also an opportunity for you to improve the lives of millions. So if you're looking to make money and also save lives, you might be looking at exploring and investing into health tech. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's episode. Today we explore the immense potential that technology holds for driving economic growth in Africa, from fintech to agri-tech to edtech and finally to edtech. The future is indeed bright for Africa's digital economy, as we've seen these sectors already making impact, creating opportunities for investors and entrepreneurs alike. With technology driving change across industry, Africa is poised for long-term growth. Let's not forget that while the opportunities are immense, there are challenges, regulatory hurdles, infrastructure gaps, and the need for local partnership. But with the right approach, these challenges can be overcome.
So guys, that's a wrap. From fintech revolutions to AI breakthroughs, Africa's tech scene is just getting started. So if you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or a simply tech curious person, now is the time to get involved. Follow us for more episodes where we unpack the threads shaping Africa. Bye.